Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we'll be making some comfort food. This is grilled cheese sandwich and tomato soup. As this recipe has two parts, we'll be starting with the tomato soup as it takes the longest to cook. So let's get started. You're gonna need some tomatoes, a couple of medium-sized red onions, a green bell pepper, some cloves of garlic, sugar, salt and black pepper, a can of chopped tomatoes, some cream, some butter, and some herbs. Here we have some basil and thyme. So let's get started with the aromatics first. You want to start by roughly chopping up your aromatics, which are your onions, your garlic, and bell pepper. No, seriously, roughly chop it up because the soup will be blended in the end. So it doesn't matter how you cut your ingredients. Oh, and here's a tip for cutting up your bell pepper. Lay it down and cut around the seeds, as you can see in the video right now. That way all the seeds stick to the core and you can just chuck it away. Next we're gonna dice up the tomatoes. Oh, and remember to remove that stem, core, eye, whatever the hell you call it. Remember, remove it before you begin dicing. And the preparation is done. Let's get to cooking. Okay, now with your pot on the stove on a medium heat, you want to start by melting some unsalted butter. Add in your aromatics, and what we want to do right now is sweat them for about 3 to 4 minutes until they become soft. We do not want any browning on these vegetables. Okay, once the aromatics are done, it's time to add the fresh tomatoes. And what we are looking for right here is to cook the fresh tomatoes until they are almost broken down. It is at this stage that you want to season your tomatoes with a few pinches of salt, sugar, and black pepper. The sugar is there to help mellow out the acidity of the tomatoes. Continue cooking your tomatoes until most of it has broken down before we proceed to the next step. Once the mixture in your pot starts to look like a jam, it's time to add in the canned chopped tomatoes. I admit I'm cheating here a little bit. Normally recipes like this do not require canned tomatoes. However, it's a bit hard to find good quality red tomatoes here in Malaysia without it being very expensive. So canned tomatoes are the next best substitute in a recipe like this. Continue boiling it down for another 5 to 6 minutes. Lastly, add the herbs to the pot. Remove the thyme flowers from the stalk, like so, and add them in. Followed by the basil. Just pluck the leaves and add them in. Oops, I dropped the entire stalk of basil into the pot. I need to remember to remove this part during the editing process. When your mixture is thick and starts looking like a jam, add in about 300 to 400 milliliters of water, depending on how thick you like your soup to be. And then you can proceed to let it simmer for about 30 to 40 minutes. Fun fact, if you do not add any water to the mixture, you have pasta sauce. Leave your soup to simmer, and in the meantime, let's prepare our grilled cheese sandwiches. Believe it or not, for the grilled cheese sandwiches, these are all the ingredients you need right here. So let's go through them one by one. We have some white bread, some cheese, over here are some gouda and mozzarella, and some unsalted butter. I'm using gouda and mozzarella for this recipe for maximum stretchiness. I'll be shredding it myself using a box grater. If you do not have a box grater, using pre-shredded cheeses is fine. However, I have found that most pre-shredded cheeses out there contain a lot of anti-caking agents. As a result, they do not stretch as well compared to cheese that you shred yourself. I like to add some green onions to my grilled cheese sandwiches to give a sort of freshness to the entire richness of the sandwich. This is optional. If you do not like green onions, you can skip this ingredient. But if you want to add some, just chop it up finely and you're good to go. Let's assemble the sandwiches before grilling. Lay down your bread, top it out with some cheese, hit on some spring onions if you wish, and add your other piece of bread on top. Give it a light press so that everything holds inside. Okay, and it's time to grill these sandwiches. Alright, it's time to grill these packets of deliciousness. Keep your heat on a medium and make sure your pan is thoroughly heated. Use a non-stick pan and melt in about a tablespoon of unsalted butter. Here you can see me adding the butter in like a caveman with my fingers. Once your butter is melted and frothy, add in your sandwich. Give your sandwich a light press so that it heats up evenly. Each side should take about 2 minutes to cook. What you are looking for is this. Oh yeah, a nice golden brown. Flip it on the other side and let it continue cooking until you achieve the same result. If at any moment you find your bread is burning, turn down the heat. But what you want are golden brown sandwiches like these. Now it's time to slice them. If ever you want to slice your sandwich through the middle like this, forget about it. If you enjoy cutting your sandwiches that way, you should be ashamed of yourself. Cut your sandwich diagonally, as every good sandwich should be. Okay, one last thing, let's finish up the tomato soup to go with these sandwiches. The soup has been simmering for about half an hour now and it smells awesome. So I'm gonna proceed to blend it with an immersion blender, or a stick blender as some may call it. If you do not have this piece of kitchen equipment, you can always use a jug blender. And if you do not have a blender at all, you can always serve this soup as it is, rustic and chunky. Go ahead, I won't judge. Finish up the soup by adding some cream, which will lighten the color and give it a nice velvety texture. Some splashes may occur, as so be warned. You may want to taste and adjust the seasoning as needed at this moment with some salt, sugar and black pepper. You can also serve this soup cold. This soup is great when it's warm, but it's magical when it's cold, especially on a hot day. And that's it. We are done. It's time to plate up and serve. Whether you're tired from day-to-day happenings, or your job sucks, or you're going through a breakup, or you're just having a bad day in general, I hope this recipe is a pick-me-up you need to get you through the day. Why don't you share in the comments below what's your go-to comfort food for a rough day? I hope you enjoyed this recipe. If you like this sort of content, do consider giving this video a like and subscribe to my channel. I'll try to post up a recipe at least once a week, and I will see you at the next recipe. Bye bye.